The rain had been falling since dawn, soaking the streets, turning every corner into a pool of muddy water, and leaving the cold to bite deeper than hunger ever could. On a quiet side street, under the broken shelter of a bus stop, a young girl sat shivering with nothing but a torn blanket wrapped around her shoulders. Her name was Alina. She was barely 17, but her eyes carried the exhaustion of someone who had lived far longer and seen far worse. She had no home, no family, and no place to go. Hunger had been her constant companion for weeks, gnawing at her stomach, stealing the little energy she had, but her spirit had not yet been broken. Even in the depths of her suffering, she carried a strange gentleness, a willingness to notice others, and it was that softness that would soon change her fate forever. Across the street, slumped against the wall of a closed shop, an old man struggled to sit upright. His clothes were as worn as hers, his face lined with years of hardship, and his frail hands trembled as he tried to bring an empty paper cup closer to his chest. His lips were pale, his body weak, and it was clear to anyone who looked that he hadn't eaten in days. Alina noticed him and her heart twisted. She had almost nothing, but she had a choice, to ignore him as others did, or to do something. For a moment she hesitated, remembering her own hunger, the small piece of bread she had kept hidden in her pocket for later. It was the only food she had for the night. Giving it away meant going to sleep on an empty stomach once again. She closed her eyes, took a breath, and pulled it out. Slowly she walked over to the man and knelt beside him. "You look hungry," she whispered softly, placing the bread into his trembling hands. His eyes filled with tears as he tried to protest, but Alina gently pushed it closer. "Please eat it." "I'll be fine," she said, though her stomach groaned in betrayal. The man's tears fell freely as he took a shaky bite, and Alina smiled faintly, watching him regain a little strength. For her, that moment was enough. The quiet joy of knowing she had helped someone who needed it more. What she didn't know was that just a few feet away, sitting inside a sleek black car parked on the corner, a man was watching her every move. His name was Daniel, a CEO whose life was filled with glass towers, luxury, and a calendar booked with endless meetings. To the world he was a symbol of power and success, but inside he often felt hollow. His wealth hadn't given him peace. He had grown tired of empty conversations and shallow smiles. He had come down this street by chance after a meeting had been canceled, and what he saw through his tinted window pulled at him in a way he couldn't explain. A girl, homeless and fragile, choosing to give away her only food to someone weaker than herself. It was something pure, something he hadn't seen in years. He sat there for a long time, his chest tight with emotions he didn't expect. He thought about how people with so much rarely gave anything, while this girl, who had nothing, gave everything she could. Something stirred in him, a memory of his own childhood when his mother once went hungry so he could eat. Daniel felt ashamed of how distant he had grown from those human truths. Without hesitation, he stepped out of his car, his expensive shoes splashing in the rain as he approached them. Alina looked up, startled, her eyes wide as she saw a tall man in a tailored coat standing before her. She thought he was just another passerby about to scold her for loitering. She stood quickly, clutching her blanket, ready to retreat, but instead of walking past, Daniel spoke softly. "Why did you give him your food when you clearly need it yourself?" His voice carried genuine curiosity, not judgment. Alina looked down at her feet, embarrassed. "Because he needed it more than I did," she said simply. Daniel studied her for a long moment, struck by the sincerity in her voice. He could see she wasn't trying to impress anyone. She truly meant it. He turned to the old man, who was still eating gratefully, then back at her. "What's your name?" he asked gently. "Alina," she whispered. Daniel nodded slowly. "Alina, do you trust me?" She hesitated, unsure of what to say. Her life had taught her not to trust easily. Yet something in his tone felt different, kind, safe. After a pause, she gave the smallest nod. Daniel extended his hand. "Come with me. Let me help you." For the first time in months, hope flickered inside her. She followed him cautiously, unsure where this path would lead. He opened the door of his car for her, and though she sat on the edge of the leather seat with hesitation, the warmth and safety wrapped around her immediately. Daniel instructed his driver to take them to his office. Along the way, Alina kept glancing at him, wondering why someone so powerful was even looking at her. When they arrived, Daniel guided her upstairs, offering her food, water, and dry clothes. She ate slowly, almost in disbelief, while he watched silently. Over the next few hours, Daniel asked about her life. She told him about losing her parents in an accident, about being shuffled between relatives who didn't want her, about running away from places where she was treated like a burden. She had been on the streets for almost a year, surviving on scraps and kindness from strangers. Every word cut deeper into Daniel's heart. He realized how invisible she had been to the world, how no one had stepped forward until now. That night, Daniel made a decision. He arranged for her to have a safe place to stay, enrolled her in school, and told her she never had to worry about food or shelter again. At first, Alina couldn't believe it. "Why are you helping me?" she asked one evening, her voice trembling. Daniel smiled faintly. "Because you reminded me what real humanity looks like. You gave everything when you had nothing. The world needs people like you, and I want to make sure you have the chance to live the life you deserve." But the journey wasn't easy. Alina struggled with fear of abandonment, with nights where she cried silently, believing it was all temporary and she would be back on the streets again. She carried scars of mistrust and shame, and sometimes, even with her new opportunities, she felt unworthy. Daniel remained patient, encouraging her, reminding her she was stronger than she thought. He connected her with counselors, teachers, and mentors, creating a support system around her. Slowly, Alina began to heal. Years passed, and Alina transformed. She worked hard in school, not wasting the chance she had been given. She grew confident, driven, and compassionate, never forgetting where she came from. With Daniel's support, she went on to college, studying social work, determined to dedicate her life to helping others the way she once helped that starving elder. Her story spread quietly, inspiring those who heard it, though she never sought attention. One day, standing on a stage at a charity event Daniel had organized, Alina shared her story for the first time. She spoke of hunger, loneliness, and the night she thought she had nothing left, yet chose to give anyway. Her voice trembled but grew stronger with each word, and the audience was moved to tears. She ended with a message that resonated deeply. You don't need to be rich to change someone's life. Sometimes the smallest act of kindness, given with love, is enough to start a miracle. Daniel, watching from the side of the stage, felt proud beyond words. The girl he once found shivering in the rain had become a beacon of light for countless others. He knew his decision to stop that night had not only changed her life, but had also changed his own. He had rediscovered what it meant to truly live, to use his success for something greater than himself. And so, the story of a homeless girl who shared her only piece of bread with a starving elder became more than a fleeting act of kindness. It became the seed of transformation, proving that even in the darkest moments, compassion has the power to change lives, and sometimes all it takes is one person watching who chooses to believe in you.